Corruption. Africa remains one of the most corrupt regions on the planet. Meanwhile, Singapore is one of the least corrupt countries on the planet.
What is good, family, and welcome on another episode. How are you guys doing? I hope you all are doing great. And if you're joining for the very first time as well, thank you so much for being here today. I have a video of a white man here. I am so in between. Is this man trying to tell us that white is not white and black is not black? Or is he actually passing a very good message across? Because I'm thinking about it. Like, what are you getting on here? What are you trying to tell us here? That we should be appreciative of colonization? Or what exactly do you want us to get from this video that you just made? Anyway, some people who don't know and some confusions that people have been having about the countries that are mentioned in this guy's video are going to be able to have a conversation and get some clarity. So at the end of the day, it is a good conversation. Let's check this man's videos out.
Ethiopia was never colonized, and it remains one of the poorest countries on the planet. Meanwhile, Singapore was colonized, and it is one of the richest countries on the planet. You can't blame colonization for all of Africa's problems. Africa has received around $2.6 trillion in aid since 1960. Put another way, this foreign aid is around 200 times the cost of the Marshall Plan that was used to rebuild Western Europe after it was devastated by World War II. If you took the Rose Bowl, which has a capacity of roughly 90,000 people, if you gave each of those 90,000 people a cut of that 2.6 trillion, they would each receive around $30 million. So why is Africa so far behind? What is so different between Ethiopia and Singapore? Well, one of the major factors is corruption. Africa remains one of the most corrupt regions on the planet. Meanwhile, Singapore is one of the least corrupt countries on the planet. And if we continue blaming this boogeyman of colonization forever and ever, Africa will never develop because the real problems will never be identified and addressed. And it is one of the richest countries on the planet. You can't blame colonization for all of Africa's problems.
This comparison might sound clever to some that just fails to acknowledge history and context. You see people misrepresenting history to push a narrative that's far from the truth. It gives that power, purpose, and context. Because even though Ethiopia was not colonized in the traditional sense, still destabilized, entangled in Cold War proxies, sanctioned by the same country that they resisted colonization against. That is not the same as being left alone. In 1935, Ethiopia was invaded by Italy, and in the Cold War, the US and the USSR actually meddled in Ethiopians' politics and resulted in a debt crisis, structural failure, famine, and civil unrest within Ethiopia. Singapore, on the other hand, was colonized, but it was strategically funded and militarized and positioned by the Western countries as a gateway for geopolitical positioning and also a trade gateway during the Cold War. That's what resulted from that money being made. Despite it being colonized, the West saw the value in Singapore being a hub that in fact enriched both the West and also Singapore, after it then gained its independence. Ethiopia, on the other hand, was actually punished and sanctioned for doing the exact same thing. It resulted in years of debt, destabilization, which did not give them a head start. Colonization was not the gift that you're trying to portray in your video, filled with misinformation and misrepresenting facts and history.
First off, what do you guys think about what that man said? What do you think about him saying that people should stop acting like colonization was bad? If Singapore did not work as hard as it did, maybe they won't be one of the richest countries. Maybe their country wouldn't be the way it is. But let's firstly talk about Ethiopia. Before I go forward, please click on the like button so others can get to see this video and join in this conversation. There are people in the comment section who read these comments. I particularly read them and I have learned a lot from the comment section. Let's talk about Ethiopia. Yes, it is a fact that Ethiopia was never colonized, but let's not act like the colonial power actually left these people alone. Let's not act like they never frustrated these people, because the colonial power did not leave them alone. Because Italy tried twice. They were invaded. They occupied part of their country. They bombed their civilians. They even went as far as using chemical weapons on these people. And yes, Ethiopia fought back, but that didn't happen without them getting damaged. So this man talking about, oh, Ethiopia wasn't colonized and they are poor, as if they left these people alone to drink their water and drop their... Because what this man was talking about in his video is that being uncolonized basically mean that they were untaught. And after World War II, Ethiopia still had to navigate the global system that was built entirely by the colonizers that they fought with. From trade routes to international banking, who gets access to the development aid because you cannot opt out of a global economy that was designed by your oppressors and expect to thrive without resistance. So yes, they were not colonized, but they never had it easy as well. They still carried the weight of the things that they had to fight off. So like he claimed in his video, Ethiopia didn't get the luxury of being left alone to succeed. And let's talk about Singapore. Yes, we know Singapore is wealthy. It's a very beautiful country. And yes, it was colonized. But guess what? The wealth that they had did not fall from the sky the day Britain left. Because Singapore's post-colonial success came from strategic location, brutal internal policies, US backing as well during the Cold War, and decades of authoritarian rule that prioritized a rapid economic development, often at the expense of civil liberties. Singapore is just like the exception and not the rule, because it made it feel like every country that was colonized had something good going for them. Singapore is like that one that a white man is going to use to say, Singapore is colonized, are they doing well? Are they rich? And all other people who were colonized can be at the same level as them. For every Singapore, there are dozens of countries that are colonized and left devastated, politically unstable, economically dependent, and socially fractured. So it's just like an exception. They are not the rule. So him coming online to saying, well, you know what? Singapore made it. It's like just saying one person survived a car crash or one person survived a plane crash without a seatbelt. So now no one needs a seatbelt. I feel like Singapore is just that country that they can always have on the tip of their tongue to say, yes, they were colonized and they are doing good. So you all not doing good is not as a result of us colonizing you all. It's because you guys cannot just do well for yourself. Like, it's just like that exception that they have. You know, same way they use the Asian sometime as well. Colonization was not a mentorship program. It was a theft, violence, and as well erasure. It was countries being looted of their gold, their oil, their rubber, and as well people. It was a destruction of local system, suppression of languages, withdrawing of borders to fuel division in the community, the installation of puppet leaders who kept their people down till date and kept their own profit up. Tell me, colonization ended, but we are still even living like it never did. Because colonization led countries with broken systems and make them reliant on the same empire that broke them. When you see poverty in formerly colonized nations, do not ask why they are still poor or ask how they are even surviving. Because even till now, many countries were deliberately underdeveloped by their colonizers. That is not a side effect. That is the plan that they have. So him coming online to be like, oh, but Singapore made it. Ethiopia will never agree to colonization. They are very poor. Nah, that is not the point. Singapore is not the rule. It is the exception. Let me hear what you guys think about this guy's video. Let me hear what you think about the statement that he made in the comment section. I am going to see you guys in the next one.